Warning, this show may contain strong language, spoilers for the Channel 4 show Hunted and Celebrity Hunted, and occasionally a dog.
As a child, we all played hide and seek, but with a potential £100,000 on the line, could you evade capture?
Could you go dark, cutting yourself off from friends, family and the comforts we all take for granted, whilst a team of expert hunters follow your every move?
Hello, Chief, how you doing?
All right, thank you. More importantly, how are you doing?
We're all right. We like a challenge.
Stand by, stand by, stand by. Out, out, out. Up to 7 persons. 7 persons.
8.
Short of jumping into the canal, their options are reasonably limited, and we also think they may have had a bit too much to drink last night.
It's a BMW, Ben. We have got live telematics on the vehicle.
You fucking beauty.
Curtains drawn.
Why are they drawn at this time of day?
Be in that fucking house. There's movement, yeah? Confirm movement?
There is movement in the property. Hunter team, open the door, please. House surrounded.
My name's Craig.
And I'm Nat. A few weeks ago we discovered Hunted and are now obsessed.
But like with every obsessive TV show we watch, we're left with unanswered questions.
Like, did Nathan and James ever meet the Loch Ness Monster?
There's more chance of that than Carlisle versus Oldham being an entertaining game of football in Sky Bet League 2, to be honest.
Or, more seriously for once, is splitting up ever the best option?
Did Nick Cummings pay his decoy for taking the brunt of the Hunter's takedown?
I hope so. Actually, I hope any fugitive that's been helped reaches out afterwards to say thank you.
And when will fugitives ever learn, if something feels too good to be true,
then it probably is.
Sneaky, sneaky hunters. Welcome to the Hunted Podcast.
Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. And when they try the chains, you can say no, free me.
Mistakes. They're a common thing in life. We all make them every single day of our lives. But when you're on the run in the quest for £100,000, or a share of anyway, and you make a mistake, it could end up getting you caught. It could cost you the big money. Or on the flip side of that, it could also cost you the capture if you're a hunter, if you make a mistake as a hunter. And that is exactly what we're talking about today. Mistakes.
And hindrances.
And hindrances. Mistakes and hindrances. Good point. And this one, to be fair, for once, isn't our brainchild. Thank you so much to the person... Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for everybody who's reached out on Twitter, Instagram, and got involved with the podcast so far. Really, really enjoyed some of your comments, some of your questions and things like that. And today's episode comes from a suggestion from some of our Twitter followers talking all about mistakes.
Yes, sure does. Both sides make a lot of mistakes during the show. Probably from what we found out from making our little list, the fugitives make quite a few more mistakes than the hunters.
Well, you'd expect that, wouldn't you? Because the hunters technically are there to do a job. They're there not to make mistakes. They're there, if anything, to pounce on said mistakes. They want mistakes to happen so they can go, thank you very much, you have been hunted down. Game over.
You'd kind of hope that the hunters didn't make mistakes, seeing as though for some of them it is their day-to-day jobs.
However, there are hunters that do make mistakes. And Jordan, I'm not just talking about you, although, come on, son, why are you always a week late to everything?
Almost, Jordan. Almost.
Jordan the nearly man.
You'll get there.
Do you know what? I'm sure he's an absolutely lovely bloke. And do you know what? I do feel like that about me having a sly dig at him every week. He's probably not going to want to come on the podcast. Or if he does, the tables are going to get turned severely. So I perhaps should stop. But come on, you know what I mean.
I mean, he's been there for some captures.
Yeah, although to be fair, those captures, they had literally nowhere else to go. And are we talking particularly about our worming friends from last week? Are we with as they couldn't go anywhere and walked straight into his trap?
I wasn't thinking about worming friends actually.
No, who are you thinking of?
I was thinking about the sisters from Series 6.
Ah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
There you go. Jordan the Nearly Man, let's call him that.
Jordan the Nearly Man.
So we're going to talk about mistakes today. We've compiled a list basically of what, rather than sort of go through and detail every person's mistake, because a mistake is a matter of opinion, isn't it?
Yep.
You know, you might have thought it was a mistake for me to go out, you know, to watch football this afternoon. I don't think it is, because it gives me something to do. You might think it's a mistake, you know, I might think it's a mistake that you spend £40-50 in Waterstones. It's not. But do you know what I mean?
It's really not.
Everybody interprets mistakes in different ways. So rather than go through individually, we thought we'd sort of think back over the series and think about the common mistakes which people make, and then we're going to turn our attentions to basically what we do and what we wouldn't do.
What we think we'd do and what we wouldn't do.
Yeah, what we think is probably fair, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, let's kick off then. Mistakes, hindrances. We've had some come in on the socials as always. If you do, by the way, want to get involved with any of the shows, whether that's suggesting a topic or sending us a question or an opinion, make sure you follow us.
It's @HuntedPod on Twitter and Instagram.
Or you can email us, huntedpod@outlook.com. By the way, as well, we are now on Spotify,
Woo!
Apple Podcasts,
Woo!
and I think it's Anchor FM, I think.
I don't know.
But yeah, make sure you subscribe. Right, come on, let's delve
Okay.
into it. Let's kick
So,
off.
Let's start with Fugitives. A biggie. One that pretty much every pair makes at one point on the run. They use a phone.
Now, you see, for me, I don't know whether this is a mistake which they all make, or whether it's something which the producers insist that they do. Maybe I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit.
I think you are.
But I can see, you know, I can see why the producers would want them to do that, because from a production point of view, they know that it's going to leave a trail. They know it's going to hot up the case. Because if you're good at the game, and you know you've done well on the run, you could lose the hunters, go and hide in a woodland for 28 days, come out for extraction, Bob's your uncle, 100 grand in your pocket, and there's no way. Sure, there's got to be a way of balancing the odds, surely.
I guess so. Even if the production team don't tell them to, and it is something that they choose to do, surely those that have watched it before will have seen someone make a call, will have seen that the hunters are tracing, you know, watching family members, friends, whoever, but still do it. They still use a burner phone to phone multiple people. They still phone their mum, their dad, their best friend.
Are we being too harsh on them though? Because surely you have to make a phone call. Because can you really go dark for 28, 25 days, or depending on what series it is, without reaching out for help? And the only way to do that is via a phone?
I think, yeah, you've got to reach out at some point, but I think there is a way that you could do it. I think there is a way that you could go to a friend of a friend of a friend. Some sort of long off person that would be harder to track and that they wouldn't be able to find straight away, like, oh, that's their cousin.
Yeah. And just because, to be fair, you know, we all have cousins spread far and wide, and unless you're a really, you know, really close family unit, you're never going to know everyone's number. I mean,
No.
I know my own number. I don't know anybody else's number. I couldn't tell you yours off by heart. I don't think you could tell me mine either, to be fair.
No,
So
I
I think, you know, people do have to make phone calls because you do have to reach out to people, and you've got to get help in some way, shape or form. I just think that there are other communication methods out there, which we've seen. Mm-hmm. We had the young lads who went to the cousin's house and went on Xbox and used Xbox gaming, the chat within gaming, because it's untraceable. You know, we had almost the clever one, didn't we, in one of the series where they post a letter to their friend to tell them to go on Amazon and review a certain product and talk in certain languages.
Yeah.
But obviously the mail got intercepted.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are certain ways of doing it, but the phone call is the most obvious one. I just think it's all about timing.
And I think it's about what you say and how quick you are.
Mm.
You need to not be specific.
When would you say the ideal time is to make a phone call?
I think if you're going to call someone, maybe you've got to do it early on.
Yeah, I think it's got to be first 2 days.
Yeah. Because at that point, they're still scrambling to try and work out everyone.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be as on single people's connections. So probably that's when you're more likely to get away with it.
Yeah, and I think the first, it's almost like, what is it they say when they sort of, figuring out a case in real life? It's the golden 24 hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or 48 hours, whatever it is. They've got the golden 24 hours where, everything's fresh in that time. They're so busy, the hunters, in that first period from extraction, trying to follow certain people. It is difficult to keep on top of everyone. For me, you make your getaway, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on, and then you make your phone calls, you plot your things, you have your things pre-planned. I know a lot of people do pre-plan through WhatsApp or text or whatever. By the way, kids, always make sure you delete your messages and reset your phone, because if you delete but don't reset, you leave a ghost.
The app.
Yeah, or delete the app. You leave a ghost footprint. So always make sure you're checking everything out there. Yeah, you make your phone calls early and you establish things. But the difficulty, I guess, is, it might not go to plan. You might need to make a quick phone call to get out of somewhere. But the thing that frustrates me is actually when they make a phone call and they go, right, I'm going to sit here for another 2 hours and put my feet up. It's going to take him 2 hours. It's going to take him 2 hours to get here. I'm going to sit here and put my feet up. No. Get yourself out of that property, because 9 times out of 10 they are in a property, aren't they?
Yeah, most of the time or they're somewhere where they can easily be found.
Yeah.
Where they just sit and wait with, a cup of tea and some biscuits.
Yeah, get yourself into some woodland and, try and make it as vague as possible. Make sure that those people that you are calling aren't, clued on with your sort of secret language.
And I think if you're planning to meet somewhere, maybe it's best to do what Vicky Patterson did and meet me at that place that we went to for your birthday when you were this old and we did this.
Right. You're on the run. I'm not on the run with you. You're on the run with our friend Ellie, okay?
Okay.
You need my help.
I think we'd be quite good together.
You and Ellie would be quite good together, to be fair.
We'd bash it.
Yeah, you probably would. Right, but you need my help.
Right, okay.
And the fugitive. You know the fugitives. You're the fugitives.
I'm
Come
a
on.
fugitive.
We're not editing it. We don't edit it. The hunters are following you. You know they're potentially listening.
Okay.
You need my help.
Right.
You need a lift out of somewhere.
Right.
Say I've covered my tracks with the car and all that, but
well done.
You have to ring my number because there's no other way. You're desperate.
Okay.
Give me this could be the end of the podcast, by the way, if I get this wrong. Give me a test.
If you hear a door slam,
yeah, give me a test and see if I know where you're talking about.
Okay.
So you've got to put yourself in the Vicky Patterson mindset, and don't do the accent, by the way. But
I can't do accents, so it's all good. I'm trying to think of somewhere.
So do you want me to do the fake phone call?
No, please don't.
Bring,
Please don't.
Okay.
No fake phone calls. I'm trying to think of somewhere because I don't want to go obvious.
You might have to though. You're desperate.
I might have an obvious place that we are.
No, not an obvious place we are. You've got to tell me to meet you somewhere, which is without saying that it's that place. So you can't ring me up and go, yeah, I want you to meet me at your house. 18 beep. It needs to be such and such and such and such. Do you want me to flip it over?
Go on then.
Right. Say for example, it doesn't matter where you are. I'd always come wherever you are.
Oh, thanks.
I'm lying. I'm just being nice.
I'll take the sweets away.
I wasn't lying. I was being completely truthful.
Okay.
So you're now helping me.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I need help. I need to get away. I'm in the place with the best ice cream you've ever had.
I know where that is straight away.
See, that's what I mean. That's the sort of example I was giving.
Yeah.
So come on, let's.
Okay.
But where is that?
Perranporth.
Exactly
Perran
right.
Dairy.
Yeah,
the best ice cream in the world.
Not sponsored, but don't want to be sponsored. Just give me all your ice cream.
Please, just banana and strawberry.
By the way, whether you're a fugitive or hunter, if you're ever in Cornwall, Perranporth Dairy.
Yeah.
Just off the high street.
It's amazing.
Unreal. Anyway, right, come on.
Anyway, Oh, this is really hard. You've stolen a good one.
Yeah, I know. That's the only one I was thinking of. Do you want to come back to it?
Yeah, can we come back to it?
Okay, right.
I'll bing when I've got an idea.
Okay, right. So there you go. Don't use your phones. Or if you do need to use your phones, use them early doors, and also
have a code.
Have a code, and also try and think outside of the box, because straight away hunters are going to go, right, they're going to call the mum, they're going to call the dad, they're going to call the brother, the sister, they might call the boss, they might call the best mate who they're friends with on Facebook. I think to stand the best chance of trying to evade the hunters and getting secondary messages to other people, I think you've got to call people that you don't call very often and that aren't an obvious connection. Because one thing I think a mistake quite often is they call people who are close to them.
Bing, 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 I've got somewhere.
Right, let's go.
The place where my shoes broke.
Oh, great.
Weird man.
Oh, yeah. So if you said weird man to me.
Weird man feet.
Southend.
Yep.
Just off the seafront.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
There you go. Right. Well done.
Thanks, we can move on now.
By the way, if we can now no longer go on the run because the hunters would listen to this.
They only know 2 places. There's loads of others.
Yeah, like I'm going to remember all them. Anyway, right, yes. So don't call your close contacts. Use somebody that's a little bit further afield and sort of do it almost like a secondary phone call.
Yeah.
Because if it goes from A to B to C, that gets done quite quickly, whereas the hunters are always chasing your tail. So if you're going A to B and that's it, hunters are straight away, bang, right, I'm going to get telematics on his vehicle. John, can you ring Dave and tell him to ring Steve, who can ring Agent 7, and tell Agent 7 to ring Agent 5. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like going round. It's almost like playing Chinese phone whispers and relying on passing it on.
Yeah.
Right, hit me up with another one.
Okay, pre-planning.
No, this is a big one. This is a big one, isn't it?
Yeah. Because obviously we've seen it before when they pre-plan, people write it down. You know, if you're of said generation where writing it down is your go-to, you're going to write it down. But what people don't think is, or what people don't remember is, when you write on a piece of paper, it goes through to the next page. A little bit of pencil.
Yes, the old school detective work with the notebook and the pencil at a certain angle creates the shade of the page.
And it's there. So if you're going to write it down, get rid of the entire notebook.
Yeah. Burn it.
Burn it.
Burn it. You only, take a piece of paper with you with places of interest for you, but make sure that you destroy the pad that you write it on.
Or just take the whole notepad with you.
Yeah, I think a little notebook would be quite a good thing to have, because, if you get desperate, you can eat the paper. You can pass notes to people.
Yeah.
Especially if, you end up thinking, you're not sure. I think, for example, we've got 1 episode left of Series 6 to watch.
We have, yeah.
The 2 deaf lads, brilliant. But a notepad for them would have come in so handy. So I think that's a good tool to have. Also, pre-planning, like we said earlier, make sure you're wiping your messages and deleting your phone and things like that.
Phone calls.
Make sure you don't leave a trace.
Yeah.
I think that's a real key thing. Everything leaves a footprint in some way, shape or form. You need to make sure that you don't leave too much of a trace.
It's not just you deleting the messages and deleting the app or resetting your phone. It's whoever you sent that message to.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that they are doing exactly the same as you, otherwise they could get you caught.
Be interesting to know how much time you do get to pre-plan, because obviously it depends each series on where the exit's going to be, where the drop-off's going to be, sorry, and what the rules are surrounding that, because in some series, you've been able to get somebody to pick you up from that location, give you a lift out of there, arrange a car, etc. Whereas Series 6 that we're watching now, they get dropped on an island they didn't know where they were going to get dropped.
They've got no idea where they are.
Yeah, with only what they've got on the backs or whatever. So you need to. It's interesting to find out what element of pre-plan you are permitted to do, but even so, you've been selected for the show. You might not know when you're going to be going, but you'll have a vague idea. But you can plan routes, journeys, where you want to go, where you want to potentially stay, things like that.
You can sort of research into areas as well.
Yeah.
Where's good for camping, wild camping, walking.
Just make sure your research is not traceable.
Mm-hmm. Delete it.
Because I remember one fugitive. Again, I have to apologise because we watched so many episodes in quick succession. It all blurs into one. 4 weeks ago we started watching, and we're now on series 6, having watched all of the civilian and all of the celeb ones. There was one who wrote down in order of where they wanted to go and when they wanted to go, where they wanted to visit, and obviously they didn't get rid of the notepad, and the hunters were able to get a copy of it, and therefore plot their route, and ended up, being able to get one step ahead of them.
They did. I can't remember who that was though.
No, me neither at this point. I'm sure it'll come to us when we finish recording this podcast. But
and wasn't there someone who gave a copy of their plan to a parent?
Yes, there would have been.
And parent had it in their pocket.
Yeah, and I think that might have been even the same one. I can't, because I think that actually might have been how they got hold of it. I think we might be thinking of the same person.
We might be.
But again, if you are going to give plans to family members, you've got to make sure family members are, as switched on in terms of deleting the footprint. You've got to make sure they're good liars. I mean, thinking about it now, if if we were to go, I don't think I'd do my planning by text or by email. I think I'd say, right, let's have a group meeting at Nando's.
Because that's where all the planning meetings happen.
Yeah, remember what we're saying. And
yeah. You can write it down in a little notepad.
No, you can't. Remember, it goes in your brain.
We could, if we were going on the run.
Yeah, to take with us,
We could write it down in a little notepad, but everyone else would have to remember it.
Yeah. Remember the code words, remember the things like that.
I don't think I'd tell my parents anything.
No, I wouldn't tell my dad.
My mum goes around telling everyone everything. So, I'm not telling her anything.
A hunter would go into the chippy where she works and she'd serve them and she'd be having a full-blown conversation. We'd be caught within a day.
Or there'd be someone in front of them that knows her.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, how's Nat? What's Nat doing? Wow, she's on the run and she's gone to Scotland and then she's going to the peaks and then she's going to the lakes, and that'd be it.
Yeah, and you've just got like one of the hunters, ground hunters. You've got Carl in the background going, "Thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you very much. Have some chips, please. Yeah. Thank you very much, thank you very much." And away you go. Listening bug device. We'd be screwed. We'd be absolutely screwed. Shall we stick with Fugitives, or shall we switch it over to Team Hunters?
We can switch it over to Hunters.
Right. First one for me, and this is a biggie. Judging books by their covers. This, whether it's a mistake or a hindrance, I think this will form your own opinion on it. We are all guilty of this. You see somebody and you think, oh, they must do this, they must be like that. We've all done it. We all do it in our daily lives. It's part of human society. But the hunters sometimes are very, very guilty of it, especially early doors.
They are, yeah. If they see someone who is maybe slow off the mark when they start running, they follow them and think, they don't know what they're doing. They're going to be easy. Let's stick with them. And they don't give them a chance to prove themselves.
Yeah. I think we've probably been a little bit guilty of it in terms of some of the ones we've watched as well. I mean, before we properly were told about Bob and Alex's story, Alex makes a phone call
to his mum
and reveals every single detail, including directions, and then, to be fair, superbly redeems himself.
He does, yeah. He goes and stops a car and does something that he's never done before and redeems himself. But we judged them before we knew about them.
Yeah.
And the hunters also do that. It's like when you look on their whiteboard sometimes, they have little notes underneath people that say outdoors.
The whiteboards where they can't draw red X's through properly. Sorry.
Let's not get into that because it annoys us every single time. Under each person, obviously they write notes about each person, but I've noticed that underneath sometimes they have likes outdoors or outdoorsy.
Yeah,
likes camping.
Define outdoorsy. I like going to football on a Saturday, and that is played outdoors. Doesn't mean I'll sleep in the tent and shit in the woods.
I think it means people who would maybe happily go camping, people who go on big walks, not just a walk around the park with the dog.
Yeah.
Like, goes trekking, goes hiking, is happy outdoors. Maybe there's proof of that on social media, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where their judging starts.
Yeah, I think I can think of an example where they've judged people wrongly and been proved wrong by it as well. Nick Cummins is a big example,
yes.
because he is very much... I almost see a lot of myself in him, obviously not without the kids bit, but he's a recluse, doesn't have a big friendship circle, he keeps himself to himself, he keeps his head down, he's what people would suggest as book smart, and people who are book smart aren't necessarily perceived to do well in a situation where you've got to think on your feet, be active, be moving, be quick, be open to talking to people, be confident, because that's a big part of being on the run. And they massively underestimated him.
They did.
Especially when he did his beautiful decoy, got talking to the guy, sat at his stall about what he wanted to do, and the hunters fell for it left, right, and centre.
Massively. Nick was miles away, and his decoy did it perfectly. Drew them in, ran around for a bit. Sadly, bless him, got tackled.
He did proper rugby tackle as well.
But the way
he got paid for that.
But the way afterwards, he went, "I'm not who you're looking for."
Yeah. And
just that minute, because for a while we thought it was Nick.
We all did, yeah.
Yeah. We thought it was Nick. But, sometimes, this is going back to, a fugitive mistake, sometimes they try to mess with the hunters.
Ah, yes.
And it goes wrong.
Yes.
They let on to where they are, they let on to where they're going to be, and they try not to be there, or they try to draw them in so that they can then get out and things like that. I do not get that
at all. Why on earth, if you are on the run and the whole point of the game is to evade capture and put as much distance between you and them as physically, humanly thinkable possible, would you go, I know what I'm going to do, I'm going to record a video tagging my location and show off a little bit. Why?
Wasn't it AJ who did it, who drew them in, and his friends and family were meant to do box on, box on?
So his friends and family had watched too many episodes of Traffic Cops.
They were meant to do a box, but were not tight enough and were not on him enough. And they failed, and the hunters, I'm sure one of them left the keys in the car and left the car running, and the hunter just got out and let his took his handbrake off.
Yeah, just started pushing
the car. Like, the hunters were just going to sit there in the car and be like, all right, you've boxed us in.
Oh
well done.
I can't get out of this. I have been outsmarted.
Off you go, we'll let you run off. They just, sometimes they're not the smartest of people.
Oh, they really aren't. It's frustrating. And I think another thing about that as well is, I don't get the rationale behind it. I don't get why you'd think to do that. Again, the cynic in me probably says, producers like that sort of thing. They probably do like it. Do they ask for it? Again, not sure. I hope they don't, but I could probably see them doing it. But yes, I think that's probably a mistake from both the hunter's perspective and from the fugitive's perspective, to be fair. Right. I'm going to pick another hunters one, which we've got some bullet pointed ones as well. Some we can talk more about in more detail. We've done a couple of fugitive ones. We've done one or two hunters ones. Let's talk about the big mistake / hindrance which the hunters have. Sending Jordan. No.
Sorry, Jordan.
Sorry, Jordan. But why are you always 10 minutes behind everything? Genuine question. I'm only joking. We've obviously had judging books by the covers.
Yeah.
I think the one thing is relying on instinct and people telling them the truth. I think that's a big thing. Now, obviously, they've got the experience. They must think on their feet. Their instinct plays a big part in what they do and how they go about their business. But they're relying on people's account of things making sense. And if 1 and 1 makes 2, sometimes that's good enough for the hunters. Whereas actually, the story doesn't quite add up and they're being fed a yarn. Perfectly exampled by Celebrity Hunted Season 1, Jay and Seaver, when they get the campsite owner to spin them a beautiful line. But again, the hunters were like, oh my God, yeah, brilliant, they're at this site, they've dobbed them in. And it's that example of all of the things coming together. Jay and Seaver taking a risk, drawing them in. Public telling the hunters stories and the hunters wanting to rely on people telling the truth. People in life lie. Fact. Does this dress suit me? Yes, of course it does, darling. Of course it does. Really, really does. You know, that sort of thing. Have you had a drink tonight? No. I don't know what you mean. I'll have a drink. That sort of thing.
Okay.
Bad impressions, free.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, when they start putting stuff out there, like, if it leads to a capture, you'll get some money, you're going to get more people.
Yeah.
You're going to get more people phoning up. And you are going to get those hoax calls. And the hunters have got to decide who they're going to trust and who they're going to ignore. And, you know, sometimes they do trust people and it leads to a capture. Sometimes they trust people and they're making themselves look a bit stupid.
Are we talking about Jordan again?
No, stop picking on Jordan. I'm sure he's a lovely person. He's very good at his job. Just doesn't come across that way on Hunted.
It's edited badly. I'm having words with the producers. No, you're right though, because you know, people will tell them one thing and they want to believe it. Sometimes I think they're too time pressured to check out that it makes sense. If the dots join up, sometimes, you know, they'll follow that trail where actually it's a trail which, you know, they're a little bit blind to being spun a yarn, in my opinion. Sometimes
they've got to make a split-second decision on whether they go there or they go somewhere else. And if they've got no leads and you get a call and that say Fred and Jeff are buying chips on the pier, you're gonna follow it.
Toff and Stanley are on a boat. Of course they are.
Toff and Stanley were always on a flipping boat.
I think that's the key thing. It's having that experience to spot fact and fiction.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just not good enough. Maybe we're not giving them enough credit. Right, let's go back to Fugitives.
Okay.
What are you going to go for? What thing, rather than sort of going through the list, I'm going to put a different spin on it.
Ooh.
What thing, mistake / hindrance, annoys you the most when you're watching it and you think you're sitting there and you're thinking, don't do that. No, you're going to get. Why are you doing that?
Going home. I get that you miss home. You know, you might have a dog that you miss or a cat that you miss or kids that you miss, but they're going to expect you to go home at some point. Okay, whether that's to see family or to get money or to get dry clothes, they're going to expect it at some point. They're watching your house, they're watching your family, but every single time people either go home or go back to their home area, and the hunters are always there because they're expecting it. And every single time you always get one in the pair that's like, no, it's a bad idea. And the other one's like, no, let's do it. It'll be fine. We'll get in. We'll get out. It'll be fine. It's not always fine.
It's not, yeah. And that is a bit of a bugbear sometimes. And emotions, I think, lead you quite heavily on that, especially when there are kids involved, which I can completely understand, or pets, etc. But I think you've got to be prepared to take on that emotional battle and not go home. If you're gonna go home early.
Yeah, go home straight away.
Yeah,
if you can, go home straight away. Get it out of your system. Do it at the start. Don't do it on day 21 when you've been hidden for a week and they don't know where you are.
Yeah. I think, it was sort of highlighted, wasn't it, with Dan and Hayley?
Yes.
Who, went into his business's early doors to get money. Risky because they knew he'd do it, but they got away with it and they knew they had to do it. And that set them up then for probably another maybe 10, 15 days.
They went back and saw their dog.
They did, but they didn't go home.
No, they went to her parents.
Yeah.
And Hayley was very, very clever and said, no, we can't go back to theirs because it'll be being watched.
Because he wanted to.
He did. He wanted to go back there. And she went, no, they're going to be watching their house. And she was right. If they'd have gone back, they would have got caught.
Yeah, and the amount of times that things are bugged or there are cameras put up everywhere as well to sort of show what's going off, like covering gates and covering entrances and things as well.
We've seen that recently.
Yeah, there was one on the celeb one, wasn't there, with Kerry Katona.
Yes,
her house was covered from the outside. There was other bits and bobs as well. Wasn't there one in this series where they covered the front of somebody's house or something like that?
Tree.
Yes, they did, didn't they? Near was it a friend's
house?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in a
it was
tree.
friend's house,
Yeah.
yeah. Going home, I don't think is ever a wise idea after a certain point, definitely. I think you've certainly got to make sure you put enough distance with you. You're on an adventure anyway. Get away from home. Go and enjoy yourself.
I think after a certain point as well, you've got to stop connections with family and friends.
Yes. Yeah. Because, that is, like we said before about looking at your network, that is a big area where the hunters will know. Like we said about using phones, it's a big area the hunters will know. They know at some point you're going to reach out to your close circuit. Reach out to them early, and then I always think that the ones that do well, the ones that we like, and the ones that I think have been really, really clever. Of course, there are a few exceptions to the rule, but the ones that have done well, we're talking, the ones like Bob and Alex, Nick, Sarah in Series 6, which we're hopefully going to get to watch, probably not, tonight. I think, they, at the end of their journey, stopped relying on people around them and started talking to the public and moving and relying on the kindness of strangers. Same as well in the celeb version with Ewan Thomas. Paid his partner and his kid a visit earlier on, used that as inspiration to spur him on, and then kindness of strangers to get him out of it. It is the best way forward.
I think that's what you've got to do. See them early on, use them early on when maybe you need it to give you a push, and then stop. Go free, go on your own, use the public.
Absolutely, and I think that if you do that, I think you're probably likely to be successful. Right, give me one final one for the hunters, and then I've got one real pet peeve from the fugitives' point of view.
I maybe am gonna go with not double checking when they're doing their searches.
Right, enlighten me.
Okay, so last celebrity one. Lisa is hiding in the loft.
Yes.
Chizzy has already given it up. She's walked out. She's put her hands against the wall. She's let him capture her. But Lisa's hiding. Lisa's in the loft. Maybe she's a little more hidden than she's covered with stuff and everything. And who was it? Was it Mel?
Yes. Yeah.
Mel goes in, he's searching around the house, and I'm going to do maybe a little bit of a sexist remark here, but I'm allowed. He does a man search.
To be fair, it is
He does a man search. He puts his hands on the loft hatch, he pulls himself up to show how strong he is, and he just looks round the loft and then goes, well, she's not here. Off we go. He didn't go into the loft. He didn't properly look in the loft. And I can't remember whether it's in Series 6. They search in the loft somewhere else. And whoever it is actually goes into the loft and moves stuff around.
Yeah, lesson learned.
Whereas Mel just lifts himself up and goes, no, not in here, off I go. And he does a proper man search.
I'll give you the definition of that, by the way. Half-arsed is the
man
is the thing. Yeah, I think he got to that point and gone, well, she's gone. She must have, because the thing is, do you waste your time in inverted commas looking in every nook and cranny, or do you just get over the back fence and start running? Because 9 times out of 10 they are running. To be fair,
I guess so, but they'd had both exits covered.
Yeah.
They'd had both of them covered. They'd only seen Chizzy leave. They knew that Lisa was in that house. Okay, yeah, that they I can't think of the word. They recover themselves. That's not the right word, but we're going with it. They recover themselves afterwards by...
They make amends.
Thank you. They do that by sitting outside the house afterwards and waiting. But if he'd have just looked properly, gone in the loft, moved some stuff, he would have found her.
In defence of Mel, he's not the only hunter to do this. All right, it did lead to a capture in the end, as it did for Mel in that one, in the celeb series. There was a civilian one. I think it might have been Jess. When they were in their friend's garden, one of them was caught.
Yes.
She legged it over the fence. She got in the trees and she told the camera person to duck down so they didn't see them.
Yes.
And again, they just sort of ran past.
Yes. Yeah, they walked past. And I wonder how many times they have just walked past a bush or a tree and not actually looked at it. Because Martin Afire was in a bush and they didn't properly search the bush until the drone flew over the top and got the heat sourcey thing on.
Do you think the drone's heat source picked up Martin Afire or Martin Afire's biohazard?
I think they picked up Martin Afire with potential new biohazards.
I think that would have gone off the scale. What on earth is? Imagine being on the drone. What's this? What is that? What is that? Shocking. Right. In defence, it does balance itself out though as well at the same time, which is the fact that if you're driving to Sainsbury's to get fuel, you're bound to pick up a fugitive. Apologies for the microphone bash there. Harry decided he wanted to sit on the table. Sorry about that. Yes, it does balance itself out. If you're driving into Sainsbury's to get fuel, you're bound to pick up a fugitive.
Or you're bound to see a camera person panic and run into a caravan.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Camera people do get in the way. Right, my last one about fugitives before we turn our attention to us on the run.
Yep.
This does annoy me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those who want to get their own back on something the hunters have done.
Yes.
This drives me absolutely insane. All right, it's probably not happened. It doesn't. I don't think it's happened too much in Series 6, but certainly happened a lot when Blexley was in charge.
Yes.
He would do something bloody genius, like take a photo with somebody's dog.
Bedtime stories.
Read a bedtime story. Get a hunter to go and flirt with somebody's girlfriend. Buy a kid a toy. Etc. Etc. Etc.
Steal a teddy bear.
And they would react. They would feel this compelling thing within them to react and reach out, and it's exactly what the hunters want. They are laying the bait there for you to go and grab. What you do is you just laugh at it and go, ha, idiots,
and move
nitwits,
on.
and move on.
Move on.
Not start something out. So, for example, it's happened so many times, hasn't it? With the nearly got Ewan and Richard caught. I mean, it did get Richard caught with the tennis photo. It's happened with so many other people over the years by
Brothers of Swing.
They very nearly got caught. If it wasn't for that camera woman, they'd have got caught that night, although it was a genius song. So many times that has happened, and people want to reach out and try and retaliate. It's exactly what the hunters want. Don't do it.
I guess because a lot of the time they do. Like a lot of the time, Blexley was doing it towards the end. He was trying to smoke them out towards the end, or he was doing it
Hey,
when...
that's very good detective speak, that. Well done.
Oh, thank you. It's because I've been reading my book. You know, he's trying to smoke them out towards the end and bring them out. He's trying to use an event to get their attention. So I guess towards the end, people are maybe... They've been away for longer. Their emotions are probably on a level that they are not used to. They're tired. They're hungry. Things are going off in their head that maybe hasn't happened before.
Yeah.
And then they get hold of a phone and they see that Blexley is giving their daughter a birthday present, something that they're not able to do. They're hugging a dog. You know, they're reading a bedtime... He's reading a bedtime story and they can't help themselves. Yeah. They have that need to get back at him.
And they think they've always done one better as well, and really, sometimes, 9 times out of 10, they make themselves like right muppets.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right, come on, I'm going to throw a question at you. Quick fire / not quick fire.
Oh, okay,
quick
yeah.
Flyer?
Quick fire.
Quick fire / not quick fire. Again, you're on the run, you're a fugitive.
Yep.
The chief, whoever that may be, takes a video or does something to capture your attention to get you to retaliate. How are they getting you to retaliate? What is the one thing you think you'd be like, I'm not having that, not a chance, I'm getting back at these?
Who am I on the run with, can I just ask?
Doesn't matter.
Ooh. I think
Let's go with the same scenario earlier. You were on the run with our friend Ellie.
I'm with Ellie. Okay, I think either something with you, like this, you know, something to do with you, something to do with maybe they're out somewhere with you and Harry, because that would annoy me. I'd be like, whoa, no.
Can I just ask which hunter is out with me and Harry?
Whoa!
Just for interest's sake. I'm not, you know, just interest's sake.
I don't know.
It's not going to be Jordan, is it? It'll be 10 minutes late.
Jordan's going to be late.
Sorry, Jordan.
Sorry, Jordan. I don't know. I think if they're doing it late on and I've not seen you for ages, I think any of them would annoy me.
Okay.
Any of them would annoy me. And, you know, them being out with Harry, that would also annoy me. Especially if he's, like, liking them and stuff. Because, oh, wait, but Harry's a bit of a dog whore, so...
Harry, you're a dog whore, apparently.
I love you, but you're a dog whore. But yeah, I think something like that, or maybe having something from home. So my childhood teddy Pinky. Don't laugh at me. It's a pink teddy. What else am I meant to call it? I think if they took Pinky and, you know, were doing a video with Pinky, that would annoy me as well.
Yeah. I think...
Come on.
Right, so I always feel compelled to say something with you now.
No, you don't have to.
But it obviously would, like...
It'd be more Harry.
Well, both of you, obviously. I think that goes without saying, right? Okay. If they were in my season ticket seat at the one call, watching the Stags, or hosting the Mansfield Matters podcast, name drop, nobody will look for it. If they were doing that, and sort of, you know, in my seat in my office, if they were here, presenting that show
with Harry in the background,
with Harry and you bringing them a cup of tea in the mug, that I think that would annoy me, and I have to respond. The other one, and I think this is more of a sentimental one, and nobody listening will know about this, but except for 2 people, if they listen, they will get it. If they got hold of Gavin.
Gavin.
Context, a little bit. Don't want to give too much away. Gavin is the teddy bear which we brought for our friend's little baby girl, and she absolutely adores him. Anything with Gavin, I think, would...
Gavin's a big deal.
Yeah. Can't take Gavin away from her, so...
No. Okay.
Not that she'd let them. Anyway, right. So, quickfire / not quickfire done. Let's move on to our final topic of conversation for this week's podcast. What would we do and what would we not do? Right.
Okay.
You go first.
What we would do, keep moving.
Yes.
You know, obviously we've got to stop to sleep, but I think we would try to not stay in the same place for more than a day and a night.
Yeah. Unless it was deep woodland. You know, we found somewhere almost close to here the other day, which we thought would be quite a good one with some escape route. It's not weird now when we're taking him for a WALK, we can't say the word because he'll start barking.
Yeah.
You know, we start looking around going, this would be a good place to hide out for a couple of nights.
We found a pre-built den and went in it and thought, right, if we go right around the corner, we'll be hidden. That'll be fine. We can see people walking past, but they can't see us. Yeah, we're fine. Good
line of sight and all of that stuff. But yeah, keep moving, I think, is the right thing to do. Just to sort of keep your head down, keep on the move, and keep sort of making the hunters guess you. But I also think with that, we probably, that's risky, but I think we should sometimes double back on ourselves.
Yeah, because I don't think they're going to expect you to maybe go back to where you've already been.
One thing I did find quite interesting was the two deaf lads.
Yeah.
Nathan and James. Raymondo pointed it out, as I say, and they were heading north up to Scotland, and he said if they carry on going, they're going to back themselves into a corner with nowhere to go. Yeah. And, you know, that's something you don't want to do. No. So I think it's all about, if you are moving, sometimes I think going side to side would be quite a good option. Sort of zigzagging across, but make sure you're not going too deep, too far down, because otherwise you are leaving yourself with nowhere left to run.
I think there is sort of a perfect circle that you need to stay in. You don't want to go too far down and be too far away from up in case extraction is up, and the same way you don't want to be too far up in case extraction is down. North and south,
by the way,
up and down.
By the way, case in point that both of us failed at geography. Don't want to go too far up, north. Don't want to go too far down, south. Never eat shredded wheat. I think you've got to sort of have that flexibility. Wherever you are, you've got to have the option to go bop, 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 bop.
Yeah.
I can go this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. Rather than I have to now go this way, because otherwise at some point that narrowness of the net closes in and they can pounce.
I think as attractive as getting to a coastal point would be, you don't want to do it. Yeah. You know, you're going to get stuck at some point and you don't want to get in that point.
Yeah. Not doing, and that is deliberately drawing in the hunters. I don't want any of this.
Nope.
Oh, I'm going to go live on Instagram. I'm going to put anything like that in. I don't need to do that. I'm not deliberately drawing them in.
No.
I don't mind a decoy, because I think sometimes we might need to do a decoy.
Yeah.
But I ain't saying, hi hunters, I'm in Perranporth eating the best ice cream in the world. Come and find me. I'll buy you a bowl of ice cream. I'm not doing that.
No, because we both know we're going to be sat there for an hour eating the ice cream, and then we won't be able to run fast for an hour.
Not on the back of that.
We're going to be full.
Yeah.
So.
And it's uphill out of there as well, by the way.
It's uphill, yeah. We don't do hills.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Because, you know, if you draw the hunters in, 9 out of 10 times, unless you are really good and that plan is solid, you're going to get yourself caught.
Yeah, you are. I think that's a definite one to avoid. What about things we would do then? Give me another couple. Let's try and go a bit quick fire now. Let's go. Let's almost like a tennis match. Let's go bop, 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 bop.
I think that we would try to change our appearances.
Yes.
You know?
I would start, before we started, I would start by having a beard. I know you don't like it.
No.
I know it's not a thing, but I would grow it and maybe grow my hair a little bit. On the day of the getaway, maybe wear a hat, you know, and sunglasses and things like that if it's sunny, and then beard comes off at the first possible attempt, and the hair gets cut a little bit.
I think I would obviously start off with hair as it is. You know, I don't wear glasses, so I'd start off with that. And maybe a few days in, I would temporary dye it red,
But
black.
not Boris's dad style. No,
Not Stanley. I
Not
wouldn't
Stanley
be going
style.
orange. I would go and
It's
get.
not pink.
It's more like orange.
Orangey
He
pink.
goes quite orange.
Yeah.
But I would be getting glasses. I would be dye my hair, trying to change how I look. Maybe trying to somewhere swap my coat for a different colour, my shoes for a different colour. I'd be trying to change how I look.
Pre-establishing the plan of what happens if we split.
Yeah, but try not to split.
Yeah. I don't think many people have managed that,
No, I think at some point they do end up splitting.
Because your natural instinct is to run. You don't necessarily run together, do you, if you
No.
get caught? And that's
You
how
go separate ways to try and make it harder.
Yeah, have a plan of what happens. Sometimes, also on the back of that as well, have a plan to split if you need to at some point. Like, Bob and Alex, it was the right time for them to do it because Bob knew, I think, deep down that it was the right move.
I think you've got to discuss splitting, and you've got to discuss what happens if you split and where you go from there.
Stay out of the cities.
Yes.
Too many cameras, too many people, too many opportunities to get yourself cited, to get yourself caught.
Nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide.
I think that we would try not to rely on public. So that goes with the staying out of cities. If you're in a city, you're going to rely on people to get you out of the city. Whereas if you're in a little village with lots of woodland, you can stay out of the way. You don't need to ask people for help.
Yeah, the more people you ask for help, the more likely you are to get your collar felt, I think, a little bit as well.
Because to try and get help, it's not going to be the first person that you speak to. It might be the second, it might be the third, it might be the 10th. But that's 10 lots of people that you've spoken to who are then going to know your face, and they're going to know that you're on the run, and then they might see your picture on social media, bam.
And that's also 10 lots of people who could potentially be thinking, I could be quids in here if I ring up the hunters.
Yeah.
And 10 lots of people who have verified where you are, and all of a sudden it's gone from, I'm not sure whether this person's winding me up to, well, come on, we've had 10 people say that they're in X location. It's not good for the soul. Not good for the soul. Public transport, long journeys, no. Don't do it. I don't think we would. I think we'd have to get around somehow.
Yeah.
I think we'd probably have to potentially get ourselves a burner vehicle.
Yeah. I think if you're going to use public transport, buy a ticket for the end of the bus, train, whatever, but don't stay on until the end. Get off 3-4 stops before the end or whatever, but don't stay on until the end, because they will be at the end waiting for you.
And remember that there is CCTV on a lot of buses now, a lot of public
trains.
transport. You've got to think about. You've got to think about that. You've got to think about where you're being sighted. Mm-hmm. So also as well, just because you get off the bus at a certain point, don't think you are safe in that point. Make another move.
Nope.
Always go one
quick.
extra step. Move quick and get moving.
Mm-hmm.
And also, don't buy a ticket. Go into the toilets, put a wig on, get on the bus, start setting up your daughter. Go to the conductor of the bus. Do you mind if we miss this stop? Get off and walk straight into Dave and Julie's trap. Dave, Julie, get your coats.
Yeah.
Best capture ever, that, I think, in terms of the stupidity of it.
If you're going to change your appearance, don't do it in a toilet.
Yeah.
You're going to get seen.
You are going to get seen. You are. Mm-hmm. Right, I think that's almost all we've got time for on mistakes and hindrances. Is there anything that you think we might have missed or anything? Any last ones that you want to throw into the mix? You made an extensive list. So now
I did make an extensive list,
Now is your chance.
I think one final thing is, if you're hiding somewhere, choose somewhere with lots of exits, because the hunters don't check every exit.
Yes, this is very true.
Find somewhere that maybe has a little gap in the fence, or maybe has 3 back exits or something like that. Choose somewhere that has more than just one entrance, one exit, because hunters don't always check every exit.
Because they rely a lot on Google Mapping and digital mapping, which doesn't always show you every nook and cranny on the satellite view, because it's unless you the right zoom in, which sometimes they do, But, you know,
But it's
give yourself
still-
the best chance.
It's still not going to show that gap in the fence or that gap in the hedge. It's only going to show where there's a big noticeable exit. So, you know, the more exits, the better.
Yeah, the more exits are very, very good.
Yes.
And speaking of exit, it's now probably time for us to exit this podcast recording. But before we do, thanks again for the brilliant suggestion of this episode. If you've got any others that you want to hear us do over the coming weeks, then please do. You can get in touch via a number of methods. Facebook, we are on there. You can just search for Hunted Podcast, or we are on Twitter and Instagram
at Hunted Pod,
where today you will see a very, very good, if I do say so myself, memey really thing. Give us
Go
a follow.
watch it, it's good.
Yeah, give us a follow.
It's funny. Also, you can email us at
huntedpod@outlook.com. It's important to say as well, you know, since we've sort of set up our Twitter and Instagram, we've had lots of great messages from a lot of good people, both fans of the show and people who have worked on the show as well. I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of them. Of course, a former deputy and former chief, and now the man who wears his capture pants over in Australia. Ben, great to hear from us. Great to hear from him, and his partner Danny, of course, his better half, as he's put it in his message. Really good for him. We had a random message from one of the Steves the other day. We're not going to tell you which one yet because they will be coming on a future episode of the show. That's lots of good conversations, haven't we, with people from the show. So. We are now 3 episodes in. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're online as well. It's easy to find us now. Yeah. But don't just think that it's going to be us two talking every single week, because actually, fingers crossed, next week will be talking to a former fugitive. We're not going to give you any names as yet. We will put it on our social media so you can send in any questions later on in the week. But let's have some clues. Let's leave our listeners playing the role of the hunters to try and find out who our guest is without making it too obvious. We've got some great ones coming up as well. We will be talking to some ex-hunters and maybe some current hunters as well. We will be branching out into the Australian series as well. We're just waiting for some comeback on that. So we've got lots of exciting things planned, including our first interrogation next week. Hopefully.
This person is an ex-fugitive.
I said that.
You did say.
I did say that, yeah.
Sorry, everyone. I do listen. They are on the 5th series.
You're going to do one more, or is that? Or are you leaving it at that?
They are female.
There you go.
That's it.
That's all you get. That's all you're getting. Do your detective skills if you want to. Make sure you follow us at Hunted Pod on Twitter and Instagram, where we will reveal the person who it's going to be once we have everything locked in and everything like that. Make sure you subscribe,
like,
rate,
and subscribe.
And so I said it in the wrong order, did I?
You did. You got to do like, rate, and subscribe.
Make sure you like,
rate,
and subscribe to the Hunted Podcast. And please do spread the word amongst all your friends, hunted or otherwise.
Yeah. Tell everyone you know.
Tell everybody you know. And if you don't, even tell those people you don't know. Be brave. Be like a fugitive on the run. Tell a stranger.
Just tell people.
You'd be surprised how many people do love the Channel 4 show Hunted and Celebrity Hunted. There's only 2 things left to say at the end of this podcast. You're baffled now, aren't you?
I am baffled.
The first, 2 words. Sorry, Jordan. The second, your time on the pod is over. You've been hunted down. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Which car park do you want me at?
Overflow car park, Amy.
All right.
Okay, I can still see the top of his head. Can we confirm this is an absolute positive ID?
100%.
He's got a black woolly hat on, black wig.
Blue boiler suit.
That's Nick Cummings. He's just at the junction of all 3 entrances to the main car park.
So let's just not waste any more time. Go ahead for the capture.
Are you ready? looking left, looking left, looking left, looking left. I'm going to block this car park, guys. I'm coming in front of him. I'm going to take him out right now. Neil, come with me. He's going to make a run for it, people. He's going to make a run for it. Fuck! Fuck!
Grab, grab, grab. Nick Cummings, you've been hunted down, buddy. Your time on the run is over.
Right, well, we haven't got confirmation it's him.
Got the wrong one.
We've got a double, Lou.
Who are you? Got his same nose.
Nice one. Cheeky bastard.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they drag the chains, you can say no, free me.